the question first, and then Eddie will read it, and we will talk over your questions right now. We got a lot. I went live early on the talking. Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Sunday. I'm in a new location, just like I promised you guys. I'm in a new location because I have all my animals here. So I even have one of my cats. Here, I'll show you this cat. This is Papito. He's an orange cat. He's not crazy. He's actually really sweet. And he's over there on Tiki Talkie too. He's a very sweet kitty. This is my husband's kitty. I've got 2 dogs in here. Yeah, and 2 dogs and a cat. And I'm sure you'll see some more cats coming up soon. Yeah, we have Critter Cam today. So we're going to be talking about the mortgage interest rates and what's happening with them right now. They have been coming down and coming down pretty fast, shockingly. I would have never predicted that we would be at this place at this time of the year. But as interest rates continue to, mortgage interest rates continue to go down, inflation continues to go up. And as the job market, like I told you, like I've said for 5 years, we wouldn't see a reflection of the housing market until we started getting consistent bad jobs reports. Once that jobs report came out recently, boom, what did you see? Mortgage interest rates come down. So it's a good thing if you're been looking for housing. This is if you're been on the fence and you saw those interest rates hit nearly 8, that can be pretty depressing. So if you're seeing it in the 6s now, that's really good. And if you're looking at new home construction, builders are offering like 4.5, 4.25. I mean, they're offering like some really good incentives. So, maybe it's time for you to think about getting on board before they get so low and private equity starts buying up those smaller houses again. Somebody wants to refinance so bad. Yeah. Yep. I mean, there were a lot of people that refinanced during the pandemic because they, how could you turn away 2.5%? I mean, that was wild. And so it gets people in a better position if they did want to sell and to give up those really good mortgage interest rates. And it's a good thing. I'm not complaining. It's just that why did we get here? Why did we get here to this point where they're having to drop them really fast? So
Selling with Steph on TikTok says, yep.
Yep. I'm over here on the old Tiki Talkie. I'm also on the old Facebook. I'm also on the old YouTube. So I'm sprinkled all the way around. At any time, if you guys have a question, all you have to do is write the word question first, and then I will answer your question. And if you have a specific comment on anything, write the word comment if that's the comment you want me to read on the screen. Eddie will gladly put them up on the screen. Somebody told me they love my glasses. I only wear them so I can see close up. I can see far away just fine. I can't see close up. For the longest time, this has nothing to do with real estate, but for the longest time, I thought there was something wrong with my computer. And I was like, this computer, I can't get the clarity. And I had to have Eddie come out there. I'm like, the clarity on this computer screen is like, yeah, I don't know. I can't get it clear either. Well, both of us needed reading glasses. It was clear. It was totally fine. There was nothing wrong with it. We just couldn't see. So, whatever, that's what happens. Anytime you hit over 50, that's what happens. I think it's actually over 40. Oh, Emma. Hello, Emma. Emma says more cats, please. Only one has come in here, but whenever another cat comes in, I will show you. The TikTok got lucky. They got to see the dogs here, but I will show you the dogs. Look, there they are. I promise they're okay. They are in good shape. They just they just look like they're dying. So I have the worst setup for this phone for TikTok. I hope to God this thing doesn't fall. I'm so sorry, you guys. But anyways, all right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the interest rates. Last time I saw they were just around like 6.3. And then like for half a minute, it was like 6.2. So just know that whenever you're talking about mortgage interest rates, it's always going to be a little bit different in each state that you're in. And of course, it's reflective of your own individual credit score on what you can get approved for. So even though you may see that it's like 6.2, It might be slightly higher or lower in your specific state. So just know that. All right. According to Yahoo Finance, mortgage rates drop again, hitting 11-month low. 30-year fixed rates are averaging 6.35. It's actually lower than that, but according to Freddie Mac. Let's go ahead and scroll down. Mortgage rates edged towards a yearly low in the wake of the weak job market. Oh, it's like something I've said before. And ahead of the data at a key Fed meeting, the average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 6.35% in the week through Wednesday, according to Freddie Mac, down from 6.5 a week earlier. The rate on the 15-year mortgage was 5.5%, down from 5.6%. Both marks are at its lowest point since October of 2024. And you remember, you remember in 2024 when it was at that 6.5%, people were like, this is too high. All right, this is the latest leg down, started on Friday when the 10-year Treasury yields, which closely track mortgage rates, plunged after the Bureau of Labor Statistics data showed us that the U.S. added about 22,000 jobs in August. Revisions to the earlier data slashed jobs that were gained in May and July. Treasury yields continued to drift downward Thursday following a surge in weekly jobless claims and inflation data that were largely in line with economists' expectations. So anyways, that's what I've been telling you. Yeah. And if we continue to see a weaker jobs market each month, we can from our analytics of years past, we can confidently say that interest rates will continue to go down. Mortgage rates have been drifting lower in recent weeks ahead of the expected rate cut from the Fed at this meeting next week. Traders nearly 90% of the odds of a 25 basis points on September 17th. But mortgage rates could easily begin moving higher again, as they did last year after the Fed cut a benchmark rates at 50 basis points in September. I don't think the mortgage interest rates are going to go up, even if they cut it, mostly because of the fact that the jobs market is so weak right now. Lower mortgage rates have drawn more borrowers to apply for loans, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Applications to purchase a home jumped 7% from a week earlier and were 23% higher year over year. Refinance, somebody was asking about that earlier. Applications increased 12% from the week previous and were 34% higher than a year ago. The downward trend movement spurred the strongest week of borrowing demand since 2022, with both purchase and refinance applications moving higher. The Mortgage Bankers Association Vice President, Deputy Chief Economist, said in a statement. So what do you guys think? How low is it going to go? I put that as a poll question in there. We'll continue to look at it. If one of the moderators could tell me what the numbers look like right now. I went to the moon on that. I was like, all right, I'm going to make this crazy. Like, how low will it go? I think I even have it as like 2%. But at one time, I mean, I'm not saying I've been wrong, but I've been wrong before. I thought for sure at one point this year we would be over 8. And Kristina was wrong. My hair's driving me crazy. This looks stupid. Yeah, Kristina was wrong. Eric the Blue says, question. Hi, Kristina. Any thoughts on a proposed God's Backyard Act? The YIGBY Act by Senator Mark Warren. This is new to me. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Brown introduces a Yes in God's Backyard Act to support churches and other organizations developing affordable housing. I'd have to see what they're doing, but I'm not opposed to this. Today, the U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, introduced a Yes in God's Backyard Act legislation support faith-based organizations and colleges wanting to build and preserve affordable housing on their land to reduce the barriers of development of housing. Housing is too expensive and too hard to find in everyday community in America. This is a common sense solution. Families need more housing. Churches and synagogues and other religious organizations want to put their faith into action by developing housing on the land they already own. Who would be against this? By helping these institutions cut through the red tape, we will lower the cost of housing and expand options in Ohio and around the country. Legislation has been endorsed by the Presbyterian Church, Network Lobby for Catholics, Social Justice, Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, United Church of Christ, Enterprise Ohio, Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, the Coalition of the Homeless and Housing in Ohio, and the Housing National Law Project, the National Low Income Housing Project. Man, there's a lot of people behind this. Across the country, faith-based organizations and institutions of higher education are looking for ways to use additional land they already own to ease the housing crisis in their communities. While they might own the land, in many circumstances, they're restricted from using it to develop affordable housing, renting housing due to the barriers of zoning and other policies. In circumstances, they might be permitted to develop the affordable housing, rental housing, but unsure how to begin. Okay, so here's the thing, like who is going to qualify for this affordable housing? How are they going to define what affordable is? Because my idea of what affordable housing is may be something completely different. There has to be some kind of guidelines on what they're going to build, how affordable is it going to be, and who's going to be able to get this housing. I'm not opposed for if any organization, a nonprofit, opening up their own land to build affordable housing. I think it's a good idea, but there has to be some guidelines with this. More than half say it's going to be at 5% as far as interest rates. 1/4 say it's going to go up more than 8%. Wow. I'm a little surprised about that. That's an interesting statistic, because I threw that in there as a kind of a funny thing. That was a very interesting thing. I have no problem with any kind of organization willing to build affordable housing. But a lot of times when these developments, especially with builders, they'll say, we have a section, or we have 20% of our buildings, our apartments are going to be for affordable housing. But is it like, what kind of affordable housing? So if all the apartments are luxury apartments and they zone out of 20% of it for, what's affordable? Is it below market value? Is that what they consider affordable? A lot of times it's just a bit less than what the rest of the community's paying. They do this in Hawaii a lot. They'll build these, huge conglomerates of condos and stuff, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, 20% of it's for the community. We're really helping the community," when they are so drastically in desperate need of affordable housing for the people that live there. Shandy says, question, do you think the cost of remodeling your home will be affordable again? Roof replacement is insane, and it's not going to get any less expensive. As we knock on wood, we haven't had any issues here as far as hurricanes. Blessings. I'm so happy. But anytime you have a storm that runs through or rolls through, building supplies get more expensive because of the supply and demand issue. We've had issues, of course, this year with tariffs. So it made a lot of building materials a lot more expensive, whether that's roofing nails because of the steel, whether that's copper piping, whether that's, the asphalt. It's all of these things become more expensive. I don't have a crystal ball to let you know that if it will become less expensive. My hope is that it would, but just like anytime let's just be honest, anytime things go up and things are still getting paid, it's very rare that things actually come down in price. They may level off for a period of time, but it never goes back to that original price. I mean, am I crazy? Anytime I've ever seen prices go up, it rarely goes back to the original price, maybe with the exception of gas, but any kind of products, food, services. I've never seen car prices ever go back down. They'll level out for a while. You might get some breaks for a little bit, and then they go right back to that original price.
So we have a question from Gary at TikTok who says, question, new build now? So when construction loan is over, it rolls into a lower rate after a year? And then we also have a comment after that. So I'm going to let you answer that question first.
Okay.
So should he do new construction now? And then by the time that the loan is over, he'll have it rolled over into a lower rate. Sorry.
You can do a new construction loan that turns into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. You can always do that. And then, if the rates go down again in a year or so, you can always refinance. That's always possible. The cost to build a home right now is probably a little bit more expensive than it is to buy an existing home. But if that's what you want and you're going to be living there for years, get what you want.
But I think his question was, should he do it?
Oh, I can't make that decision for you. You gotta pencil that out. You gotta pencil that out. I would never want to be responsible for somebody's life most financially expensive decision. You have to pencil that out and figure out if that would be financially suitable for you and if that's what you really want. I'm always the kind of person, though, when I really want something, I'm willing to suffer the short term to have long-term happiness. Maybe that's not the best financial decision, but like when I wanted this house, I wanted this house. And it ended up being a very smart financial decision, but people were like, "You're dumb," because we had a rent for a few months because we sold our house so fast, and people thought it were stupid. But whatever, I liked my house.
And Savasi on TikTok also said, "My church, Greek Orthodox, does that, but allows only retired people and people with special needs."
Oh, well, that's awesome. I like that. I do like the fact that if they're offering something to disadvantaged communities, whether that's age restriction or any kind of disability whatsoever, anybody over the age of like 65, retirees, I think it's a good thing. The churches get tax breaks, and why not have that open for communities for affordable housing? I think that's fantastic. And some people will be like, well, why isn't it free? Because there's no free lunch. And I think it gives people dignity to pay something for a house, maybe not market value, but just the fact that they have paid it, it's theirs, it belongs to them, and it was not a free ride. MH08 says, why are mortgage rates different in each state? I wish I was trying to get Kyle Seagraves from the House You Love over here today. I've asked him, I ask him every single week, can you make it this Sunday? He's like, I got something coming up. So I don't know if he's avoiding me like the plague, but Eddie's got the answer for you. I don't have the answer. He pulled it up. He says rates vary due to the credit of quality of borrowers in each state. The higher the credit score of the borrower, the better the loan terms are, including the mortgage rate. So the borrower is given a state typically have lower credit scores, then it overall affects the overall rate. Okay, so I guess if we were to compare borrowers in Mississippi to borrowers in Florida, for instance, what is the rate of default in Mississippi to Florida? Is there a higher rate of default in that particular area? So that would reflect the mortgage interest rate. That makes sense. The divergence in rates could also depend on how many lenders are in the market has and competitive they are. For instance, if there are more types of financial institutions, from credit unions to banks, both big and small, and they are competing for the same pool of home buyers, that could lead to lower rates. So more people in the area, that spreads out competition, that makes the rates lower. Regulatory and legal differences between states may also lead to lower mortgage rates in some parts of the United States. There are differences in state law requiring the foreclosure process, for example, according to the Freddie Mac. Yeah, I'm good. Eddie, we're good. It makes sense. So if your area has a high default, you're going to have a higher mortgage rate. If you have more competition, then your mortgage rates are going to be a little bit lower. I mean, the difference between mortgage rates, honestly, is very slim. It's not, it's like, let's just say like New Jersey, like right now theirs could be like 6.8, well, or 6.18 instead of 6.2. And then like Louisiana's could be 6.35. It's not like a huge difference. It is a difference though. There is a difference.
Gary over in TikTok says, thank you much. Hoping to get into cheaper rates. Thank you for answering. You're a cool cat.
You're a cool cat. Thank you.
Without a cat right now.
Yeah, I know. I wish there was a cat. I'm so surprised because every time I have this door open, usually there's like 5 cats crawling across. Years ago, I used to always do my live streams from this room, and the door for some reason doesn't latch very well, and they would knock this over and they'd be walking in front. And I used to get so nervous, and now I find it funny. But I'd freak out as the cats were coming in, and it would go running and grab a cat. Now I don't care. It's funny. Sly All Day says, no, don't say the H word during the season. I know. Yeah. Sly All Day also says, why does a home loan reset after a refinance? Because what you're doing is you're refinancing the amount owed, right, for a new loan terms, which is usually like between 15 and 30 years. So you have to reset the loan. It doesn't start at year 7, Charlton says, of course, Kyle is the love answer man. I don't know if he's a love answer man, but he does know his mortgages. He does. He's with a new company now, and I'd love for him to talk about it because he can help people across the United States. Ryan Bailey says, article, Isles Daily Welfare before the Wall Street. Read the article, Isles Daily Welfare before the welfare state. Okay.
He's saying read the article.
All right. Okay. I'm not going to read it right now. What if it's something bad? What if it's something I don't agree with? Lawnmower says, go to the bathroom and a dog will join you at any moment. Oh, I always have an audience. This is true. Eddie, will show the other article about the interest rates, and let's talk about, you know what? Forget that. Let's talk about show the other article that was about yes. Okay. So this is completely unaffordable. Manufactured home residents protest skyrocketing lot rents in Lehigh Valley communities. This was sent to me by a subscriber. And if you don't know, private equity firms have been buying out condominiums, HOAs, and manufactured home parks. They really have doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on manufactured home parks. Why, you ask? Because there is absolutely very little anything that residents that live in those parks can do about it. There's very little regulation. There is no cap on how many times in a year that they can raise your rent and how much they can raise your rent. It's different than like an apartment that you rent from, and the laws don't reflect those people that rent those spaces in manufactured home parks, because they're usually only renting the land their own home that they own sits on. So people that were paying, let's just say $500 a month for this lot rent, that a lot of times their lot rent included the water and electricity. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But let's just say they were paying $500. They've been paying $500 for the last, 4 years. They had a slight increase because the cost of the park got more expensive. Then happy-go-lucky private equity walks their little happy boats over there, says to the mom and pop owners of this mobile home park, we would like to purchase it, and we're going to give you this number. And it's like an offer they can't refuse, because it's like, oh my God, that's so much money. I never even thought my house or this plot of land was worth it. So sure enough, private equity buys it, And the first thing that they do is send out a group of letters to all the residents there and say, yes, I know you've been paying $500. We're going to be doing some slight changes to the park to make it better for you to live here. We're going to be paving the roads. We're going to be updating the lighting. We're going to even put in a swimming pool. So now your lot rent that was $500 is going to be $700. And you think to yourself, wow, that's a lot of money, but okay, I'll be okay. And then 2 months later, we did not assess the fact of how much this pool was going to be costing us in order to put in. And we want to update the front of the community. And we want to put in a park. So now it's going to be $900 a month. And people that were paying $500 were used to paying $500. They are low income to begin with. And if you raise somebody's rent from $500 to $900 in less than a year, they do not have enough time to adjust. And a lot of these people that live in mobile home parks are also retirees, and they're on fixed incomes. So now you've made it so they have no choice. They're either like I saw this poor lady, she was like deciding on whether she should get her prescription medication or pay her lot rent, but she didn't want to be homeless. So she stopped taking her medicine so that way she could pay her lot rent. Then it got so bad, she was like, then so I got myself down to 1 meal a day so that way I could afford my lot rent because they raised it again. It got to the point where she was trying to find all these different solutions. She ended up having to move in back with her daughter because she can't afford those lot rents. That home that she had was completely paid for. She had that home in that park for years. She had a 20-year loan on it. It had already been paid off. And do you know what that private equity firm did? Because she couldn't move it anywhere because it was a 20-year-old mobile home. She couldn't put it anywhere. That private equity firm turned around, cleaned up her little trailer. That's it. She cleaned it all up, put a little paint on it, and rented the whole manufactured home out that she owned for $1,300. For $1,300. So they got themselves a free house that they could rent out for even more money. And there's nothing stopping it. There's not any laws out there that protect anybody that lives in a mobile home park that rents the land. Very few states have addressed this issue. They've talked about it a lot, but they have not addressed it. And private equity does not care. The other thing that they do, because they're sick mother, they will purposely keep raising the rent until it forces every resident out, because what they want to do is scrape the land, and then they want to go ahead and put in affordable housing. What they say is affordable housing, but their version of affordable housing is actually luxury apartments. So even like they think they're doing the community a service, because what they'll say is, well, we're putting in all these apartment homes, but it doesn't help the people that were living in that park in the first place. They can't afford those new apartments that they're going to be putting replacing from the people that lived in the mobile home park. They never give anybody any options. And sometimes they'll do like a buyout of their home, but it's laughable. It's not even like a first month's or last month's rent. They'll say, well, your mobile home, it's probably worth about $5,000. That's what they're willing to give these people to like move off the property. And that's if they're being nice. Proud Liberal 24 said, so cruel. Old people renting their land under the mobile home being driven out due to cost. That is correct. It's always due to the cost. Kat C says, question, how distance from the ocean influences hurricane-related homeowners insurance rates? I believe they have a map that has to do with the wind zone. They adjust that all the time. You never know what the path of a hurricane is going to be, but they have like an expectation of, it's kind of like flood maps, same kind of thing. Like I live outside of Baton Rouge. So, like I would not be in the same risk category as people that live right on the coast or right there in New Orleans. We happen to be we're slightly above sea level here. So just know that flood insurance is completely different too. Campin' Sasquatch. I don't like the name. Is this why personally my household has this is why personally my household has 3 generations. No way is my grandma going to have a tough time at the age of 90. Funny that you say that, because my husband and I are looking at buying a duplex, and I want to have my parents on one side and I want to have myself on the other side. So that way at any time, no matter what, I could just go right over to my mom and dad's house and get them for whatever they need at any time. Invite them over all the time. My parents do not want to live in my house. They've made that crystal clear. My dad said, I've worked too hard to live in a basement. I'm not doing that. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking to either build or buy a duplex, and Eddie and I will live on one side and my parents will live on the other.
By the way, to make it clear, I wouldn't put them in the basement.
No, I was looking. Remember we saw those apartment houses. So there was like we seen apartment houses where you can buy the house upstairs is like the main house, and then the downstairs is a complete apartment. And I asked my dad if he wanted that, and he said absolutely not. He's like, no, we're not doing that.
And by the way, on TikTok, that is the size of her cup. It is as big as her head, as Lawnmower would say.
Yeah, Lawnmower, who is a commentologist on my my YouTube channel, he says it's not the cup that's big, it's that I'm very, very small. So, Metairie has lots of duplexes. I think my family owns most of them. Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, we were not thinking about Metairie. We're not going out to Metairie. I think maybe we're just going to have to work with a builder and find a piece of land and have it built. I think that's probably going to be our best situation now that I think about it. I never even thought about that yesterday when we were talking to Mom and Dad, Eddie. Maybe that's something we need to look into. Who's on first says, question, as demonstrated in Grapes of Wrath, the New Deal provided by the government-backed homeless camps run by people with sanitation, water, and safety. Why isn't the government doing this today? John Steinbeck. Well, I wish I had the answer for you on that. This is one of those issues that I feel like if they wanted to fix it, they would. There's obviously a lot of solutions to the problem when it comes to people being homeless. There's people that are homeless, but they actually have jobs, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, they just need to get a job. But, if they haven't even priced out how much living expenses are right now, like to get an apartment. And there are people that are living out of their cars, not out of choice, because that's the only choice they have. And I genuinely think that they don't want to fix it. But I really do. I really think they don't want to fix it.
Well, I know the answer to that.
What's that?
Who's going to pay for it?
Well, there's a million other things. Who's going to pay for it? Eddie, come on. You know damn well that they don't want to pay for this. They don't want to pay for that, but they'll pay for a bunch of other stupid stuff. And if they wanted to, they could fix it. I mean, I don't know.
By the way, that's darn well.
Why is it darn well? I can say damn well. It's my channel.
The kids watching.
I'm sure children aren't watching
They are.
Real estate channel. I don't think they're interested. So, all right. Irrelevant Joker 37 says, I think the economy is jacked. Just sold my house, going to watch the downturn. Irrelevant Jack. So if you're going to watch the downturn, are you going to wait to see how low it goes, in your opinion, before you buy again? I'd be interested to see what you think. Because, like back in my day when I was a new real estate agent, fresh license, started in the worst real estate market in history. And so many people said it was so dumb and that housing was going to be worthless. They said that, housing prices were going to drop to the lowest they've ever dropped. And people, you can already see people are losing their houses, and it's just going to keep getting lower and lower and lower. I didn't listen to that. I went ahead and purchased a house because, I got to have a place to live. The thing is that it never went to zero. It never went to zero. And in most areas, never went back to the original price when it was at the low, like let's just say back to where it was in 2005. Those prices never reached that. The guy who bought our house, I had originally bought that house at $135,000. Our first home, it was $135,000. We sold it for $235,000, and the lowest it went was $187,000 at the lowest.
$245,000.
Whatever, $245,000. Yeah, $245,000. And then it went down to $187,000. And then he was able to do a restructured loan and refinance it at $187,000. He worked with his lender, but then it went right back up to $245,000. Now it's at like $408, or what is it? $437.
I would say it's more than our house now.
Yeah, it's like it's now it's at $437. So sometimes it's just better just to wait it out. You know, I mean, I'm not telling you that you did anything wrong or anything like that. I'm not judging you on that. I'm just saying that, you know, emotions can get high and you can make some rash decisions, but a lot of times time heals a lot of wounds, especially in the economy. So wait it out before you start panic selling. You know, that's what I'd say. All right. What was that, Eddie?
Savassi over in TikTok says, it's okay to spend trillions of tax dollars for stupid things, but not to helping people.
Oh, I mean, there's so many things that, like, I'm not going to get a political discourse on what tax dollars should be paid for, but there's a lot of things that they pay for that I'm like, you know what? That's not what I want my tax dollars to go to. I'd rather go to, you know, housing the homeless, feeding the homeless, giving kids free school lunch. You're like, I mean, call me crazy. God forbid I want people to eat and have shelter. You know, wow, that's so revolutionary. You know, it's so stupid. I don't know. People, you know how the world is. The world's gone crazy. More unprecedented events every time we turn around. Irrelevant Joker 37 says, yep, I live in the DC Nova area. The housing market is nuts. It makes no sense. And you know what's so crazy is that the housing market is completely different in every single city. So like because like I said, I'm outside of Baton Rouge. What's happening in New Orleans housing market is not reflective at all to what's happening in Baton Rouge. So New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and we are 45 minutes away from each other. You would think that they would, you know, that would cross over in some way. It does not. It does not, not even a little, well, not even a little bit. You can go even from county to county here in the Baton Rouge area. We call them parishes, by the way. Yes, we call them parishes. But if you go from each parish, it's a little bit different. As far as the housing market, housing prices, everything. That's why it's really important to work with a real estate agent that's local to that area, that understands that area. I'm not against working with new agents, but there's nothing better than someone that has seasoned, who knows the market and seen what has happened, trends that have happened in that area, to get a good insight of what could possibly happen with your real estate market in the next 5 years if you're thinking about selling in the next 5 years. Proud Liberal 24 says, I'm in Nova. My neighbor's house sold for $167,000 over asking price of $1.5 million. Isn't that insane? I remember when we were selling our house for the first time. This was in, what was it, 2006, Eddie? Yeah, it was 2006. And I was like, how come we're not getting any people looking at the house? Is the housing market that bad? I mean, there isn't a lot of people looking at it. And our real estate agent at the time said to me, Kristina, how many people can afford a $250,000 house? And I was like, oh, I didn't look at it that way, you know? And I was like, $250,000. And now the average or median price home here in the United States is just over $400,000. That's insanity to me. That is insanity. Most people, like, if we had the same jobs that we had when we were first married and got our first house, we couldn't afford a house. I was a hairdresser and Eddie was selling cars, I think, at the time. What were you doing? You were in sales, some kind of sales. We weren't making, we were barely making it. And there's no way I could have bought a house. There's not with the income I was making. No way. Charlton Zimmerman says, question, isn't the real estate buying season just about over till spring to 2026? That depends. Some people's housing market bloom happens at different times. Like Boca Raton, this would be the time that they start really like picking up. So again, the housing market is going to be completely different in each area. Now here in Louisiana, it stops after I would say the height stops right after Halloween, and everybody goes into hibernation, and then it picks right back up again as soon as Mardi Gras is over, and you have Fat Tuesday. Boom, that's it. It's done. It's done, and people are back to looking for houses again. But we have a lull from Halloween to Mardi Gras. I'm not saying that houses don't sell, but that's where the biggest lull is. Pam D says, totally nuts in New Hampshire, 999,900 on a lake. But seriously, yeah, I know. Like the prices are insane. That was my first townhome, was 500,000 in Nova. Coming from Georgia, it was sticker shock. Yeah. I mean, I felt like I won the lottery when we moved here because we moved from Florida. Our taxes were less. Our electricity was less. Our insurance was less. And we got a house that was just a little bit more, but it was like 700 square feet bigger. And then we got our first electricity bill. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could I feel like we won the lottery? We're paying less and we're getting more house. It was amazing.
But then I paid my last bill and cried.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys, like, everybody I talk to here in Louisiana, but I want to know if this is across the country. Our electric bill, and we have everything set. There's no change in the temperature in our house. Our electric bill was the highest that we've ever paid. Normally it averages around 250, 260 around there in the summer.
This time of the year between 2 and 250.
Yeah, 250 around there in the summertime. And how much was it last time, Eddie?
$390.
$390. And so then we compared the usage. There was not that much change in the usage. It was slight up above where it was the month before. Just huge. And it's all because of a data center they're paying for. Eric the Blue says prices like 1.5 million make my wallet shake. Then spontaneously combust. Yes. Yep. Muddy Sneaker says you're paying for those data centers. Yes, we are. And I'm on Entergy. So Entergy is the one that is funding those. And you know what? Let me ask, like if you're paying for electricity, why should you have to pay for the electricity for a data center? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're and it doesn't matter if you live in an apartment, condo, whatever, if you happen to have Entergy, you're paying for the Entergy bill for these new data centers. How does that make sense? How did they work out that deal? I didn't get to vote on that crap. Like, so crazy.
You got to pay for the upgrades and the infrastructure. And Savassi says, my electric bill, including gas and monthly, cost around $240. I'd be happy.
Yeah, that would be great. Going against the grain says, did you see that? Was it IJ won a lawsuit in Calhoun, Georgia, so people can build their tiny homes? I did not see that. Eddie, if you can find something on that, that'd be great. Eddie leaves the lights on too long and leaves the doors open going outside. No.
I can assure you that is not me.
That is not Eddie. He walks around this house turning off every little light and everything. I said, Eddie, it's not the light. It's the air conditioning. It's not the lights. It's the air conditioning. That's what drains the most electricity. And it's hot.
It's the one thing I won't turn down or turn up.
Yeah. So like we have one dimmable light on that lights the kitchen, the eating area and the living room. And that's what I have on at night. And sometimes if we're lucky, he'll let us turn the light on over the stove so we get a little extra light.
And every night, what do I yell before bed?
Oh, turn off the light in the living room. So it's not him, it's me. Eric the Blue says my electric bill has been stable and low for years. Average $73 during the summer, about $60 in the fall and winter. Do you have a levelized bill? Bills? Anybody that's buying a house and you move into the new house, you can ask the electric company to levelize your bill so there isn't a drastic payment shift, like, because you use a lot less electricity here in Louisiana during the wintertime because you're not running their air conditioning, and you can ask your electric company to levelize that bill so you're paying consistently about the same amount of money throughout the whole entire year. So you can do that. Anybody want to look into that? Who's on first says Louisiana is widely known for its levels of chemical pollution, especially in the region often referred to as Cancer Alley. This is correct. There is many, many detailed data on that. Yes. Clark, the realtor, is in the house, also moderator. So good to see you. Anybody that's interested in the Atlanta housing market, go over there and say hi to Clark there and give him a little hello. And Clark actually does live streams as well. Clark, are you going live today? If you're going live today, let the audience know. Al says, question. I bought a 10-acre parcel of land in Scurvine County, Georgia, parcel number 052-014C. And I want to build the elevation up so that I can, around this lower swamp area, to build my yard and the house. Okay, do you have is any of it considered flood? Like, is any of it considered wetlands? I've contacted zoning, Army Corps of Engineers, floodplain administration, etc. I can't get any answers without authority. I need to go through in order to proceed with my project. Yes. First, you're going to need a flood elevation certificate, and then you're going to need to determine if any of that land is considered what is it? What did I just say? Why is my brain like this, Eddie? If it's considered wetlands. Wetlands. Yeah. If it's considered wetlands, you may have to mediate that out. You may have to mediate that out if they'll allow you to do it, or LOMA it out is what they call it here. And that you're going to have that first. Deborah Ann says companies need to pay for their own power. You don't get these companies' profits. You know what, though? Oh, thank you, Mr. Jeffrey, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's the whole thing, though. Like, I don't know what would the switch was. Like, when is it that companies were able to charge people living in the state for their building? Are they going to be providing enough jobs to end up helping pay or offset these costs that are going to be going to energy? And it's not going to be just energy prices. Damn well, they're going to be going right into the water too. They're going to be using fresh water. They don't want that dirty water. They want that fresh water. It's going to cost
darn
us.
Well.
I can say whatever I want, Eddie.
Children.
Eddie, look on the name on the show. Look at the name of the channel.
Ears are listening. Children.
Oh my gosh! Don't be like that. If anybody doesn't know, that's my husband in the background, Eddie. Yep. Sorry, Eddie, for blaming you for the high bill. Forgive me. Charlton says, yeah, this is my problem. Mr. Jeffrey says, a huge cup. How many ounces? Where did you get it? Matter of fact, Mr. Jeffrey, it's so interesting that you asked this. I got this on Amazon. I wanted to have them branded with the Kristina Smallhorn YouTube channel logo, but it cost too much money. It was too stupid. After I got said and done, one cup would have been $32, and I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. So if you do want one of those cups, if you go into the description of this live stream, there is an affiliate link to an Amazon, the Amazon link that I got these cups from. They're from Amazon, and those are the only cups I like. Christina I like big cups, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with a big old mug, you know that she is thug. What the hell's wrong with me? Can you all hear my dog? Can you hear her? I swear I'm not been drinking, but look. They look like they've been drugged. So crazy. The big one's Daisy and the small one is Rosie. All right, Buddy Sneakers has a question. Oh, what's this? Oh, Eddie's showing you where you can get the link right there. Right there for the affiliate mug. Yep. All right. Go ahead and throw that question on the screen. I'll do it. I can do it. Here we go. Muddy Sneaker 77 says, question, any way I could live in a house full time that only allows for 120 days max a year? Are you talking, do you have a rental property? Is that what are you, so you own a rental, is it that you own a rental property and you want to live in it for 120 days? Is that what you're getting at? I just want to know what's stopping you from living in the home that you own. Turk Eclipse says, oh, I was wondering what that noise was. I was checking my other tabs. Oh no, it's just my big old dog Daisy. She's just snoring. She's just a big old dog. She's old. Yeah, it's Daisy. Daisy snoring. I don't know where the cats are. I'm just so shocked. So shocked. For some reason, I can't talk right now. Yeah, I'm so shocked. Yeah, they're okay. They're fine. They're very well loved dogs. Where are the kids? I wish that one kitty would at least come by here. Hey, Soapy. Soapy. Let's see if Soapy will come here. King of the City the First says, Eddie, what's in her mug? Eddie, what's in my mug? Eddie, what's in the mug?
Oh.
What is it?
That's tea.
Yes. Hot tea. I do not drink coffee. I do not drink coffee. I drink hot tea. And if you guys remember, I was so worried about the tariffs. I was so scared about them. I bought myself a gigantic suitcase full of English breakfast black tea. It's like the biggest thing ever. And I have it in all these different containers at the bottom of my pantry because I didn't want to have to pay more. And then I thought, oh my God, am I being really stupid? Am I being dramatic? And then I looked at the price and how much it had gone up, that big suitcase of tea. It is $32 more. So I did not panic. I saved myself some money. So Lawnmower says, Kristina, the local authorities that approve the data centers need to stipulate that the data center needs to source its own electricity and water. Do you think that the people of Louisiana really were notified? Do you think that possibly, I'm not saying that it happened. I'm not saying that it happened, but do you think that maybe a politician or two might have got a little greasy handshakes to get things to happen the way that they happened and just make it really quiet and maybe nobody would notice? Yeah. Yeah. Louisiana politics, Eric the Blue says, Sophie is thinking too many humans I don't know or approve of. Request appearance denied. Yes, Sophie is, all of them cats are like that. I'm so shocked because they're always usually like climbing all over the place. Maybe we'll do this again. So hopefully I can trap some cats in here. Camp and Sasquatch says, my cat is snoring next to me right now. Let me ask you guys in the chat, because this is one of the things that we're facing. So soon, Eddie and I, in order to fulfill our dream of having my parents in a duplex where we own both sides, in order for that to happen, we're going to have to put our house for sale. And you guys know don't laugh, I have 7 cats and 3 dogs. We are going to transport those dogs and animals in another location while the house is for sale. We already have it worked out. But would that turn you away from buying a house? Now, I have you know that I've repainted walls. I have redone the whole entire house. It's been scrubbed from top to bottom. But would that stop you from purchasing a house, knowing that there were that many animals in the house, even though there may not be any smell or anything else like that? Would it stop you from purchasing a house? Proud Liberal says, I have a small cat with a big snore. Yeah, I got one of those too. Long Island iced tea. No, it's not Long Island iced tea. It's just a regular hot tea. Are you in the house or not the studio? Yeah, I'm in the house. I'm in my house. Yeah, PG tips, exactly. People that have been a fan of the show for a long time know that this was the original studio. I used to always do my live streams in this area. This used to be my office, and it was when I was given that tiny home in the back of the house that I started doing everything in that studio in the back of the house. So, yep. Peanut Kinder says, as long as the house doesn't smell, I wouldn't care. Yeah, some people are like, no, due to health concerns, yes. Yeah. By the way, that is one of those things you have to disclose. When you're selling your house, you have to disclose that you have pets in it, because there are people that have like respiratory issues or have allergies. You must disclose that. Money Seeker 77 says 7 cats, 3 dogs. If you weren't married to Eddie, you'd fit the criteria for a boxed wine cat lady. You know, I don't drink. That's the only thing. I don't drink. Not for any other reason. I just don't like drinking anymore because it makes me feel terrible. But yeah, just hot tea lady. Yep. Eric the Blue says, if there's no evidence of animals, no problem to buy, for me at least. Patricia says, I would be concerned about the smells in the yard. Well, Eddie's the cleanest person on the planet. I'm the messiest person on the planet. Eddie's the cleanest. And he goes around every single day and picks up all the fire bombs from the dogs. So you wouldn't see any, what do they call it? We'll just call it discharge from the dogs.
That bothers me too. So don't worry.
Yeah, Eddie doesn't like that. Especially in the Louisiana sun, that smell baking is pungent. So he does not allow that for that to happen. Camping Sasquatch says, nah, if it's professionally sanitized, cleaned, if I recall, there's an allergy and air test. Yes. So another thing to know too about the house that I have, we would provide something called an ozone treatment. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but if your house has a smell, we had some rental properties and people smoked in there, and we had that ozone treatment done to the house. You would have never known it. Every once in a blue moon, when I would go into the house, I would catch just a little, like half a second of maybe like that old cigarette smell, but I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. But mostly, nobody else could tell. It was just me. Those ozone machines are amazing. So we went ahead and purchased one. So we love ourselves an ozone treatment. So if you guys ever happen to find a house that you absolutely fall in love with, but it has a smell and oh dear, go and have either hire a company to do an ozone treatment to the house, or get one yourself, get an ozone treatment box, but make sure you use it correctly, because they're dangerous. You're not supposed to breathe that stuff in until it's completely ventilated out. Clark said, I would not care. Well, I'm glad, Clark. You can buy my house. Come buy it. Noreen said, I would be concerned about fleas. Oh, not these dogs. Oh, no. This is a no flea. Kristina does not like bugs. And anytime we've had one flea issue, and that was 2 summers ago. Holy cow. We were at the vets every other week, because I was like, this isn't working. And it just so happened our neighbors weren't treating their dogs. So it was constantly happening. We've got that sucker under control now. Man, we have a whole plan. And then my daughter goes through and uses the flea comb to check to make sure they have no fleas. Nope, no fleas in this house. None. Wes says, I wouldn't buy a house with that many animals having been in it. Yeah, I know that some people wouldn't, and that's fine. Charlton says, now homeowners insurance policy asks if pets are owned, probably biting the mailman. Yeah, so you have to disclose to your insurance company if you own a dog, and they, if you don't, they may not cover if your dog does attack a neighbor. So put that on there. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you have a trampoline, you have to disclose to your insurance company that you have a trampoline, because that's another risk that's onto your insurance policy. Kelly Hahn says, I remember that video of it being built, the crawfish boil. Yes, I got a lot of hate on that video because I was boiling live crawfish. You can't boil dead crawfish and then make it out the next day. I just want to make that very clear. You cannot boil dead crawfish, expect to eat it, and be alive the next day. If you do make it, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the bathroom, may end up in the hospital. You cannot cook dead crawfish. They have to be live before they go in the water. Just saying. MH08 says, ozone generator. Yes, I have one. Yeah, they're great. My daughter spilled like one of those, it it was like a shake that had milk in it and stuff. And she was out in Louisiana hot sun and everything. And then she had her stinky dog in there for a little while. And I was like, let me do this ozone machine in there and see if it takes out the smell. Sure enough, took it all out. Took the whole smell. You cannot smell it. It smells like perfect. Perfect. Patricia says, you would know how to clean and sell a home. And so I have zero concerns about you. I'm so freaky about it right now. You can ask Eddie. I'm going through old screens around my house and making sure, like, if there's any part where the screen looks like it's picked, we're going ahead and rescreening all the screens. I'm painting every single bedroom. All the trim has been done. I went through every single house. This is how you should be selling a house. If it was like, a couple years ago, anybody could sell their house. It didn't matter the condition. But in this market today, you need to get your house in proper condition. And I've repainted all the trim all the way around. I've painted every single door in this house. I want to make sure this looks great. I want it pristine. So Noreen says, I had to have ozone done to my apartment. It smelled new and perfumey. It worked really well. Yes. Yeah. Like afterwards, after it gets done, it feels like, to me, I always say it smells like a new Barbie toy. Smells like a new Barbie doll. Who's our first? It says flea team 6. Yes. No fleas in this house, man. I'm weird. That is one thing I may be messy, but I do not do bugs. Camp and Sasquatch says, nowadays you got to check for allergens and breaking bad ingredients, shall we say. Yes, I'd be way more worried about that versus the pets personally. Yes, yep. And then you can, if you guys are ever move into a house and you feel like there's a lot of allergens, you can meet with an HVAC company where they put a specific thing that fits to your air conditioning handler that would help filter out your allergens even more. And they even have ones that have like UV, it has these UV lights that will shock any kind of like bacterias, mold. They've been around for a long time. They're actually pretty common here in Louisiana because we do, it's like super hot and super sweaty and gross here all the time. And they do have a way that you can kill the mold from your air conditioning. So it's a thing. It's a thing. So if you're concerned about that, you can look into it. Wes says people can say what they want. People can say they will, but you never really get all the animal hair and smell out. Oh, here we go. I got to go move the puzzle piece real quick. Hold on. You never get the animal hair and smell out, especially in the HVAC system. Yes. I agree with you. My friend, Donna has a house. She had 2 or 3 cats. I never smelled it in her house. I never smelled it. But she, like us, we had our HVAC systems cleaned out every 6 months. I think that makes a difference. But people that are really sensitive to it, of course, they're going to smell it. There's some things that I can smell better than others. So maybe I'm nose blind to it. All right. Eric the Blue says, concerning data centers, cost-tolerant energy can now be produced on site via SMRs, small modular reactors, order of magnitude safer than prior generator reactors, plus solar and wind by the center owner. Do you think that, Eric, let me just ask you this. Do you think the people of Louisiana are going to make our data centers do that so that people of Louisiana would have lower bills? Or do you think they're going to make it convenient for the people that are running these data centers and they don't want to have to make them go out of their way to help the fellow man? I just want to know. Wes says, let's have some crawfish. Yes, I love crawfish. It's my youngest daughter's favorite thing. Yep. And just don't have dead ones. You do not boil dead crawfish. Debbie Brady says, my mom used to turn off the refrigerator for a long vacation car ride. One year she forgot to remove the frozen fish before leaving. Oh my God, the smell! It didn't even go away for a week after that I got home. Yes. The fish is one of those things. It's delicious, but don't forget about it because boy, oh boy, that can make your trash stink. And don't ever microwave it. When people microwave fish in a break room, those are the people that you're just not friends with anymore. MHO8 says run the HVAC with the generator running. Oh, are you talking about you have to be careful with that because that ozone. So he's talking about the ozone. So there's an ozone generator. It can actually degrade the components inside the air conditioning unit to run the ozone at the same time. So be very careful with that. Make sure you have the right kind of ozone generator that you can have the air conditioning on. Like the one that we have, everything comes off. Everything comes off. And then you have to wait a couple hours for everything to settle on the ground. And it leaves like a little haze because it's killed all the mold in the air. Then you have to wipe it out, vent it out, and then you can turn on the air conditioning unit. Patricia says, oh, if only my seller would do all those things. 5 poodles, 2 cats. These animals are going to be evicted before I put the house up for sale. They're being evicted. They will be in another location before this house goes up for sale. They will not be here. There will be no litter boxes. There will be no landmines in the backyard. There will be no concerns. It will be like no animals have ever lived here. Even though you must disclose it, I will disclose it on my description. I will do that. Debbie Brady says poll results have. How long will mortgage interest rates go? How low will they go? In the 5s. 55% of you guys think it's going to be in the 5s. 11% of you say it's going to go as low as 4%. In the 11% of you said that it will be as low as 4%. In the 3s, another 11%. And then up in the 8s, 23% of you said it's going to go as high as the 8th. At one point, I really did believe that. I truly believe that. MHOH says, I microwaved an egg at work one time. Promised my coworkers I'd never do that again.
Now, if you microwave the egg and put a little bit of mayo in it and then microwave the egg, you have a nice little omelet.
Omelet, yes. Yeah. Well, an egg's still better than fish. An egg's still better than fish. Something smells fishy with Deb's statement. So, Campin Sasquatch says, about tariffs, do you think that more eligibility grants will be made available for people purchasing farms? I kind of think so, considering how much food we import. It'd be interesting because I know the farmer, well, I'm not saying all the farmers, but some farmers are really ticked off right now. So if they could give us some kind of benefit to them because it's causing problems for them, it'd be great. I mean, I'd love for Congress to start working on things that would help farmers and bring the cost of food. Because you know what? I was watching a TikTok and this poor girl, she said, I bought a house 2 years ago. And she said, I was easily making my payments without a problem. And then the last 2 years, my insurance went up $1,500 a year, another $1,500 a year. So that added to my payment, which was really wasn't that bad, but I'm on a budget. Then my groceries have gone up, and she's pulled out her receipts and she's like, they've gone up another 23%. And same with my electricity. And then my HOA had an increase. And she's like, I don't know if I can make it another year with this house with the cost of insurance, the cost of my taxes, the cost of food, everything else. And I don't believe that she's the only one. I think we're seeing a lot of that. So I would love to see some reprieve happen and maybe our elected officials get on the ball and start helping the people that elected them. But that is about as political as I'm going to get today. With that, I'm going to tell you that if you're looking for a real estate agent in your area and you need some help, go ahead and go to my website, KristinaSmallhorn.com. Go ahead and click on the pink button and fill out the form, and I will give you a little ringy-dingy, a little call, or I will email you back, whatever is more convenient for you. If you happen to like this podcast and you want to share it with your friends and family, go to anywhere you listen to podcasts, look for Kristina Smallhorn, Real Estate for Everyone, and share it with some friends and family. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. Tell everybody what you thought about the podcast. Eddie always makes me ask you to leave a 5-star review and give some commentary. And apparently that helps things out. So with that, I want to say a very special thank you to our moderators today for being a part of the chat. I want to say thank you to everybody that was here today. Over 203 people were in the chat today asking their questions about real estate. And if you haven't yet, and you're in the Atlanta area, go over to Clark the Realtor. He should be going live soon, and give him a little follow. Give him a little hello, little talky talk in the chat. So, all right, everybody. What do you want to say, Eddie? What are we going to say? You're going to say something?
Thank you to those on TikTok, sorry, and Facebook.
Yeah, thank you to the people on TikTok. Thank you for being a part of it. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the cats. We should do this again so that way we can do the cats. All right, everybody. I love you. Mean it. Be good. Stay out of trouble. Don't talk to strangers. Look both ways before crossing.